Hi there, this is Dan Tripp with Voter Contact Solutions. Thanks so much for opting in to watch this short video on the Pathway to Victory formula. I want to show you how you can use the formula in your campaign. I also want to walk you through the 4 most powerful tools that you can use for voter contact programs in your campaign. But before I begin, I want you to know that formulas and tools are not theoretical for me. This is a very intensely personal journey for me because I'm a candidate for public office. I'm out knocking on doors today. Here's my brochure that you can see. I actually won the Republican primary for county council in Greenville County just back in June, and now I'm running for the general election to be the next county councilman for this area. So I live these principles every day. But this journey began about 25 years ago for me when, as a 24-year-old, I ran for the state legislature. Using the principles that we're going to talk about today, I won a seat in the state legislature and served for 12 years before I voluntarily decided to get out of the legislature and work in politics full time. From 2006, when I got out of the legislature, until now, I've traveled the United States working on political campaigns, political projects, issue advocacy, and I've honed the Pathway to Victory principles that we're going to talk about today, and I've honed the use of the voter contact tools that we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, and let's jump in and talk about the Pathway to Victory formula and the 4 most powerful tools that you can use in your campaign. All right, let's talk about your campaign and a couple concepts. Voter contact, what is it? And the Pathway to Victory formula. Now, the Pathway to Victory is a concept I'm sure you've heard of before, but it's how you get your campaign from where it is today to winning the most votes on election day. And so voter contact is a process of moving a group of targeted voters through what we call a 4-step process to ultimately winning. Usually it's 50% plus 1 on election day. The strategic process we use to achieve that is called the Pathway to Victory formula. That's something that we've designed in our practice to help candidates and campaigns really maximize voter contact principles. So the Pathway to Victory formula is based on 4 key ideas, and let's talk about those for just a minute. Now, before we start, let me just say we don't have a lot of time on the video today, so the best way for you to understand these concepts is to jump on a call with me, and we'll go through a coaching session on the Pathway to Victory formula. But let's go through and do a quick flyover on the 4 strategies. The first strategy is to build a targeted universe of voters who are likely to show up on election day. You can't talk to everybody. You don't have enough time or money to talk to everybody, so you've got to be targeted in your approach. And the second key to that is people or voters who are likely to show up on election day. So you need to go into the voter file and figure out who's likely to show up on election day. You don't spend a lot of time or extra money talking to people who aren't going to show up. So targeted universe and people that are likely to show up on election day. So that's the first strategy. The second strategy is to identify the preferences of each likely voter so you can target the right message to the right voter at the right time. In marketing, we call this concept segmentation. And so, you'll understand very quickly in campaigns that voters are either for you, they're against you, or they're undecided. And so over the course of the campaign, you want to spend as much time as you can putting voters in those segmented buckets so that you can send the right message to those voters. That's the second strategy. The third strategy is focus your resources on persuading undecided voters. You want to spend time with your supporters. Those are the folks that are going to donate and volunteer in your campaign. Your opponent's supporters are most likely, you're going to ignore them because they're not going to do anything for you. The bulk of your time should be spent persuading undecided voters. Okay? The fourth strategy is to turn out your supporters on election day. Now, if you're in a partisan primary, the turnout tactics are going to be a little bit different than if you're running in a Republican versus Democratic general election. But the key point here is you want to turn out your supporters, not everybody, your supporters on election day. Okay? So every plan we build is based on this P2V formula roadmap, Pathway to Victory formula roadmap. Okay? Now, the tools that we use, you know, the Pathway to Victory formula is a strategic framework. And then we use voter contact tools on a tactical, day-to-day level to execute the strategy. And so we think there are 4 powerful voter contact tools that you can use to effectuate your strategy. You've heard of these before, and what are they? They're voter canvassing, they're your website and your digital advertising, your digital footprint, your direct mail program, and your live and automated phone calls. You've heard of all these. There's nothing magical about these, but they're powerful for these campaigns because they are targetable to the individual and household level. This allows you to hyper-target to geographic and demographic groups rather than just rely on costly and inefficient mass advertising. So, would you rather talk to a voter on the doorstep and persuade them versus doing a TV campaign that's talking to everybody on the block? You know, so that's the dynamic here, and that's why we say these 4 voter contact tools are the most powerful tools that you can use in the Pathway to Victory formula. And what's beautiful is when you start putting these together and integrating them into a multi-channel voter contact program. Those are jargony words, but basically you're going to the doorstep and saying one thing, they get something in the mail the next day that says the same thing, your website and your Facebook advertising says the same thing, and then you get a phone call from a person on their neighborhood block saying the same thing. So, you know, what we want to do is provide integrated, multi-channel voter contact tools for your disposal. So let's talk a little bit about voter contact solutions and what we offer and how we can help you. First of all, we will help you formulate a strategy and a plan. We use the Pathway to Victory formula. We can help you put that plan in writing. And then the second thing that we can do is help you develop the tactics. So we talked about those voter contact tools a minute ago. How do you implement those? How do you integrate them into your campaign? How do you optimize those so that they are helping you? Those are tactical tools. How are they helping you achieve your strategy of target, ID, persuade undecideds, and turn out your voters? We take those tools and match those up to the formula strategy. And then, quite frankly, we provide a lot of coaching and accountability to our clients. There's nothing worse than spending money to develop a plan and put the tools in place, but then you get whipsawed or you get busy and you don't execute. So part of what we do is help coach you through and provide accountability so that you execute the things that we put in place for you. Let's talk real quickly about pricing and terms. We generally don't work on a monthly retainer basis. We work on a project basis. So we've broken this process down to project level items. And so, you know, for instance, we have a project called the Campaign Launch Project, and that helps you get the campaign off the ground with the website and some various things that you need to start the Pathway to Victory formula in your campaign. So those are all based on project pricing. versus a monthly retainer. We're not the cheapest guy in town, but we're not most definitely not the most expensive in town. What we do is we try to set a fair price and we pack in the value for your campaign. We don't overpromise and underdeliver. We give you a great value, and then we roll up our sleeves and go to work for you so that you are able to implement the things that we're talking about. So, who is the Pathway to Victory Formula program designed for? I think you've heard me say before, we don't work with every campaign that calls us. We try to limit the number of campaigns we work with so that we're providing quality over quantity. So who is the Pathway to Victory Formula program designed for? First of all, we want to work with candidates that are coachable. If you know it all, if you're quite frankly a prickly person, we don't want to work with you. We want to work with folks that are coachable. You want to be smart, you want to understand the process, but ultimately, you're coming to us for a product or service because we have expertise. We've done projects in 42 states, so we know, we've been there, we've done that. I'm a candidate, I've won public office before, so I've been in your shoes. If you're coachable, I want to help you. Secondly, we want to work with campaigns that can afford our services. Now, that's not a shot across the bow on pricing. I stand by what I said. We are a fair valued firm. We pack the value in for you, but we don't do this stuff for free. It takes a lot of time and energy on our part to do non-cookie cutter services for your campaign. Everything we do is unique to your campaign, so it costs something. And we want folks that are going to see the value of what we provide and are willing to pay their bills on time, and people that are going to pay us. We're a for-profit company, so we want to work with campaigns that can afford our services. Thirdly, we want candidates that are going to work hard. There's nothing worse than putting a plan together and then the candidate takes off the summer to go to Italy with his family. Campaigns require that you get in the trenches and you work day in, day out to move your voters through the process that we call the Pathway to Victory formula. So we want campaigns and candidates that are going to work hard. And then finally, we want candidates that have the drive to win. Nothing is worse than getting down to the end of the campaign, your opponent's attacking you, and all of a sudden the candidate loses heart and gives up. We want candidates that are driven to succeed and are willing to work hard to obtain that success. We'll work with you to do what we've got to do to deal with your opponents, but you've got to have the drive to win if you're going to be successful. Now, another question you may have is, what level of campaigns does this work for? I've worked on candidate campaigns from presidential level all the way down to city council races. And so what I like to say is the Pathway to Victory formula program works for candidates from City Hall to Congress. Now, you can apply a lot of these principles to a statewide campaign like a U.S. Senate, a gubernatorial race, a presidential race. But what I found is when you look at the tools, the canvassing, the direct mail, the phones, the digital, those things work really well with campaigns that are closest to the people. So from City Hall to Congress, I really believe you can make this Pathway to Victory formula program work really well. If you fit these criteria, watch the next 90 seconds of this video for instructions on how to book a call with me. That's the next step in this process, is to get together and talk about your campaign, talk about the processes that we use, and see if we're a good fit. So thanks for watching this video, and spend the next 90 seconds and we'll see if this is a good fit for both of us. Thank you. Hi, thanks again for opting in to watch this video. I hope the material that I provided today was helpful to you in your campaign. If you're a candidate or a manager and you're trying to launch your campaign, we can put together a plan for your campaign using the Pathway to Victory formula. We can also show you how to use, integrate, and optimize the 4 most powerful voter contact tools that you can use in your campaign. So if you'd like to talk about this, click down below to book a call with me. We'll spend just a few minutes, answer a few questions, and see if this is a good fit for both of us. But thanks again for watching the video. I look forward to talking to you in the next day or so. So click below to opt in and book a call with me today. Thank you.